Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. The latest Interstellar Initiative called the Scourge is currently underway. In fact, by the time you watch this video, Phase 2 will have come to an end. Now, I've been away from home for a while, so I've missed much of this. In fact, I've only just got the opportunity to jump in and have a look at the tail end of this particular phase of the initiative. So what's it all about? Well, as always, it's a large focus on a community goal. In its particular case, moving the infamous Rockforth fertilizer. Yes, this is the very same fertilizer that people found an exploit on, enabling them to make billions of credits an hour, which Frontier then took back. But also the fertilizer has had an effect on the NPCs within the game, as well as the planets. It's had an impact on the agriculture, causing low crop yields, and a new state system called Blight, which we'll have a look at further into the video. Now, to get around this, what players are having to do is dispose of this fertilizer. So, going to a system listed on the community gold page there, purchasing it at a very low price, and then bringing it to this system here in order to get it disposed of and dumped. Now, as you can see on the community gold page over the past week, many players have been doing this, and it's very near the top of the final tier. But like I say, by the time you watch this, it will be over. But nonetheless, the community goal, or the Interstellar Initiative rather, will no doubt very soon pass on to the next phase. Now, the story behind this initiative has been fairly interesting, so let's jump over to Galnet and take a look at that.
Has capitalized on farmers' demands for new treatments. Sales of Rockforth's fertilizer have beaten expectations, with multiple systems.
So this particular Interstellar Initiative had a fairly large lead-in, beginning at the end of December, or September rather, with the arrival of the Rockforth fertilizer. This later carried on with introductions of story elements that mentioned low crop yields, finally talking about blighted crop that was basically rotting away and being contaminated. So this was the first stage of the initiative, and players had to bring over pesticides, foodstuff and other supplies to the affected systems in order to help the populations there. Phase 2 kicked off with the realization that it was the Rockforth fertilizer causing all these problems, leading to players to assist with the disposal of the fertilizer itself. So, as already mentioned, the Interstellar Initiative has introduced a new faction state known as Blight. Going over to eddb.io, we can see how many systems are affected by this. Currently, it stands at 49 systems. Now, there's not much information in the way of what Blight actually means. We can see it here on the website, and we can go to these particular systems within the game and have a look at what they mean. Now, just type in the star system here on the map. I haven't visited this system before, I don't think, so we haven't got any star system information. Let's quickly type in another one of those systems, which was Bohr. And yeah, we got a system map information here, and on the information panel, we can see that it is indeed blighted. Again, no information here. Now, one of the Interstellar Initiative, or the community goal star systems where we have to remove the fertilizer from, is the O-Rare system right here. This is also blighted, and if we travel here and have a look at the status panel for the factions here, we can get just a tiny bit of information on the blighted status. Let's just have a look here. So you can see the icon down on the bottom right of each faction there. They're pretty much all blighted, or a good portion of them are. If we click on any one of these, it will tell us a little bit more about it. And it says, an agricultural blight is affecting crop yield, so nothing more than we already know. Now, it may just be me, but I haven't seen any particular effect that this has had on the factions themselves, or the systems themselves. But that may just be me. I'm no background simulation specialist, and after all, this information certainly isn't obvious or presented to you in any clear manner. You do have to go digging for it somewhat. And that leads me on to a few thoughts about this particular Interstellar Initiative so far. So as always has been the cause for the past 3 Interstellar Initiatives, this one included, the story itself is fairly well represented. It's fairly well executed and planned out, especially with this one having the long lead-in from the end of September, a few weeks before the Interstellar Initiative actually kicked off. And for those players who actually pay attention to Galnet, this is actually a pretty decent thing. It gives a nice chunk of background lore to what's going on in the game. But as always, for me at least, these things always come down to what it actually means for the game itself. What does it mean for gameplay? What does it bring to players? Does it give us anything new? Well, so far there's been 2 community goals from this Interstellar Initiative. Both of them have involved hauling goods. The first one just hauling pesticides and food stuff. The second one hauling and disposing of the fertilizer. Of course, this second community goal, this second phase of the initiative, it did bring along reduced price ships, so you could get the Type 6, the Type 7 as well as the Type 9 for a significant discount during that particular phase. But ultimately, none of this actually impacts anything. If you don't pay attention, if you're not reading Galnet, if you don't get involved in the community goal, then really there's nothing really going on to write home about. That said though, if you look at the contributors of the community goal, you can see there was many thousands of players involved, which is of course a significant number, so it's certainly interesting a whole bunch of players out there. Now, as I put this video together, Phase 3 of the Interstellar Initiative began as well. Now, I was actually very curious to see what Phase 3 would entail, because if you read the lore, it was pretty clear that the Rockforth fertilizer had been contaminated. Unsure who by, and it was obviously a deliberate attack, potentially against humanity itself, but otherwise probably by terrorists. It turned out that it was the latter, that it was indeed terrorists. A group no less, who were frustrated and angered by the Federation's ban on the drug Onion Head back in 3301. This was essentially their revenge for that, or their statement, depending on how you want to look at that. Of course, the background characters want to deal with this, so they're sending players off to attack these terrorists. So essentially, Phase 3 is yet another community goal involving a bit of combat to get some combat bonds. Now, I really want to say here that I do like curated content in online worlds. It's something that can go very, very well if it's handled well. One of the other previous Interstellar Initiatives, the one where we expanded out to the nebulas, that was pretty interesting. It had an effect on the game world. This one seems far less interesting. The story's nice, like I said, it's got a lot of Galnet articles there if you're into reading that, but in terms of what it actually means for gameplay, all it's been so far is 3 consecutive community goals. Personally, I feel this is far from ideal, especially with the lack of new content coming into the game at the moment. I think in concept, Interstellar Initiatives are a very good idea, but they need to make better use of the existing assets and the existing game loops that are already within the game. It's something I'm going to be talking about in another video, so do keep an eye out for that. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.